ESPN 93.5, John Edmonson is on the telephone with us from Dallas, Texas. He's a wellness specialist. John, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on your show today.
A wellness specialist. What do you do specifically with a wellness specialist designation?
What does that look like? Well, presently I work at Marula Medical, and we're doing a comprehensive program of integrating stress reduction, mindfulness, diet, and exercise into prevention. Before that, though, I was an educator for 8 years, certified school counselor, and worked at a Momentous Institute as a clinical coordinator working with children and families.
Gotcha. Okay, the story is instead of detention, these students get meditation. What do you know about this?
What about that? Well, probably 10 years ago is when we started to see this in the school system. And firsthand experience is when I worked with kids and you just give them detention and you just give them consequences and try to give them straight talk, sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. And the reason we learned is that they're coming in the room with all kinds of stress, worry, concerns, and some of those just normal kids, life and what they go through. Some of them are going through trauma and bullying. And so when we started teaching them, they call it meditation, but I'll call it focused attention or breathing or centering. They begin to change their behavior. I saw kids' grades go up and discipline go down. More calm kids and actually even calmer teachers as well. And it's just like now that I'm in the medical field, we don't just focus on the symptoms. What's the going on in front, but what's the root cause? Why are you really sick? Same thing with kids. Why are you really acting that way? And in many cases, it's not because they don't know the right thing to do. Most of them do. But they lack the ability to really do that right thing. They can't regulate their emotions. They can't focus their minds. And so we do the meditation or breathing practices or even movements that look like yoga to help them really calm and center.
Yeah, and I think some of this is just great. Other reminds me of the Snowflake Generation where we have to give trophies to every kid and all this stuff going on. So I understand that, some people are thinking that right now. But this is different. 40 years ago, you had mom and dad at home. You were in trouble if you got in trouble. There's a whole different makeup now where kids don't have much guidance. They don't have much mentoring. They don't have much influence that's very positive, and they're coming to school every day with the best part of their day, 9 to 3, because that's structure, and it's at the school. So, if we're coming up with another way, the layers are much more complex than they used to be. Isn't that true?
I think you nailed it. It's perfect because the old skills or old ways of doing things don't work because we're dealing with a new generation. We don't have to throw everything away, though, either. Discipline, accountability, all those are still necessary for kids to grow. But they don't have the baseline. They don't have the basics down like they used to. They're not coming to the table like you said with everything they did before.
It's a whole different generation. But, there's also this argument saying, man, what the heck? Shut your mouth. Be quiet. Behave. You assume that they're getting that. And I think there's a bunch of kids that are not.
Sure. Well, not at home or not anywhere. They're not
anywhere. No, not anywhere.
Yeah, no one's there to teach them. At school we do our best.
Well, it's a three-legged stool: parent, child, teacher. I mean, the teacher trying to do all that stuff is just not reasonable. I don't think so.
Right, and kids, when they go home and they don't have anyone to be with them at the end of the day and connect with them and teach them that, they have two different worlds they're dealing with: the world at home or the world of their neighborhood, where there are certain rules.
Right.
But then they see that as true, and then they come to school and don't see that what we're asking of them is actually real. So that's part of why we do those interventions.
Yeah.
We get them in groups, we help them center, we help them focus, and teach each other. Like I've seen where kids will actually teach other kids how to center, how to breathe.
Yeah.
And then once they have that,
I'm just going to say, nothing beat Greg Burr being sent out the hall by Mrs. Taylor in second grade, and he'd go lightly tap on the door after 15 minutes, and she'd open to see if anybody was there, and remember he was out there. So the real trick Greg used, and it was really, really sharp.
Right.
Yeah. Come on back in.
Well, I remember the PA being turned on during a spanking.
Oof.
And everybody heard,
Yeah, we don't do corporal punishment anymore.
Well, I know that, but it sure does straighten you up and make you
fly
right.
Well, it sure would be a deterrent now, wouldn't it? John, where do people find you?
You can find me at marulamedical.com. That's MARULA medical.com.
Hey, nice to chat. Thanks so much. John Edmondson's his name down in Dallas. ESPN 93.5 as we jump to our morning sports at 8:15.